The Blackbox Portal has recently undergone significant updates, or at least what I think is a significant update, and I'm excited to share with you what makes it such a more usable and interesting tool. The thing about the Blackbox Portal that has always been valuable is the ability to collaborate, to work with others, and to upload to many platforms all at one time. That's what it's always been, and that has not changed. But what they've done recently is change the historical analytics. If you are already familiar with the Blackbox Portal, then you can jump ahead. Down below there's chapters. Just jump ahead to historical analytics, and that will probably be all you'll want to watch. For those of you who are not familiar with the Blackbox Portal and are interested, you can watch the entire video. This is September 20th, 2025, and I'll just show you the first page of Blackbox, and this has not changed much. You have notifications on the right side that'll tell you things that have changed and tools you can use. I'm showing my sales stats for 2023 with this graph on the left, and you can see I made $8,843 that year. My total revenue to date on Blackbox when I started in early 2018 is $45,376. That's as of today, which is September 20th, shown right up here. If I go to 2024, you can see that I made just $3 less than $12,000 that year, and that was because of some bumps we had in data sets, which I'll show you in a minute. And then in 2025, we're on track to also have a very good year. Now, the thing that makes Blackbox interesting is that if I go to my Blackbox, and you can see here the clips that I'm working on, some model shoots that I've done with myself and some local events. I've got some vertical video, my wife doing some cooking, some drone shots when I was recently on vacation back in the US. And what makes this interesting is if I go here to one of these clips, for example, it'll show the clip, and what I do is write a title, short description. It'll be something like this: businessman has difficulty and frustration responding to an email. I'll show myself doing some overacting there. I'll put in the keywords here, and this is important because you select a category. These categories, animals, objects, and graphics, and so on, all the way down to time-lapse, transportation, and travel. These are the categories that we're going to look at in a minute that show up now in the historical analytics. Also, you'll put the country that you filmed it in, and it's that is optional, but I've been doing it with all my clips lately. And also the shooting dates, which is also optional. Sometimes that matters and sometimes it's not. A lot of times people ask me about editorial. This is a model shoot. I'm filming myself, but if it were editorial, well, let's go to an editorial one. This is a local event, hunting and equestrian event here in Abu Dhabi, and this is some Arabian horse, a mare and her foal, and people coming up at the event to look at these beautiful specimens. So this would be editorial. I would click here. I would put in the city as Abu Dhabi. I'd put in no state. I'd put in the country as United Arab Emirates. And I'd put in the date, which was September 1st. I know the date that I filmed it. And I've already put in some keywords. I would fill this out and I would submit it, and that would be editorial. And a lot of people are asking me, they'll say, well, Adobe stock doesn't accept editorial. I don't worry about any of that, because when you do a clip with Blackbox, Blackbox will upload it to all the major stock agencies. Again, let's go back to my clips that I'm working on right now. This one would be commercial. You can see that I've got a model release for myself here. I've got a property release for the office that I'm shooting in. And this would be go as commercial. I do this one time. I just fill this out one time, and then Blackbox can upload it to all the agencies. If it's editorial and only some agencies accept editorial, then Blackbox will just upload it to those agencies. The other thing you can do here that is very helpful is you can see on this one that I have shared down here 20% of the sales with Travis. Travis is going to do the keywording, the description. A lot of times I'll put in a description here, so just so he has some context of what my concept was. He'll do the rest. He'll probably change this description and make it better. He'll add a title, he'll add the keywords, and then it comes back to me and I can check it to see if there's anything that I want to change. I've added the releases, and then I could submit it. So this is the one of the things you can do, and it doesn't always have to be curation. You can pay somebody to stabilize it. If it's suppose you're doing a drone hyperlapse and you need it stabilized, you can have somebody else do that and pay them a percentage. You can have somebody color grade, or you can just give somebody your hard drives and have them do everything for you. Pay them 50% or whatever you feel. It's between me and Travis. So I've got an agreement with Travis. I've been having a hard time keeping up lately, so I've asked him to help me, and he's agreed. And he helps me do 5 to 10 clips a week. And that's the main tab. Now here is the most interesting thing. If you go to my earnings, I'm sorry, let's go to total earnings report. This will show the total earnings for the last 2 months, and you can see that that's $1,471. And you can look at the clips that have sold here. The thing that is interesting in my revenue is that also shows when I first started Blackbox, I did a lot of curation. I don't do it anymore. And the reason is that I just don't have time. But to learn how to do stock footage and to see what other people were filming and to see how I could just learn from more experienced people, I did a lot of curation. And that also got me the money that I needed to buy equipment. And so you can see that some of these earnings are very small because I just am earning 20%. The most common sales I'm seeing lately are in the $7 to $8 range. You can see that if we go down to 200, you can see how many of mine are these bigger ones are generally mine. It does happen sometimes that I'll get $30 or $40 from 20% curation on a clip that's sold for several hundred. So you just never know what you're going to get. And then every now and then you get a bigger clip. For example, this clip here, which sold on September 11th for $45.77. There'll be a couple of those generally a month. And this has always been there. This has always been a part of the Blackbox. Here's where the new innovative analytics come in. This has also always been here. This will show how many clips you've uploaded by the month in the last 18 months, how many you've uploaded and how many you've submitted. So you can see here that I've uploaded some that are still waiting to be curated and submitted. Down below here, this is brand new. We never had this before. Again, I'll do it for 18 months. And this shows royalty free, and what that means is the individual clip sales. And you could hold your cursor over any of these. So you can see in April 2025, I sold $862 in just individual clips. That same month, I sold 212. I made $212, $213 in subscription sales, and this represents discount packs. You can see here that over the months, I've made almost exactly $100 from discount packs a month, and $200 a month from subscription sales. And if I hold this, it'll say 175 for subscription sales in August, 190, 195, 216, 212, 208, 211, 210, 260, 335. If you average these out, it's almost exactly $200 every month, and the discount packs are about 100. This is 90, 97, 101, 86, 104, 122, and so on. And again, if I average these out, they're almost exactly 100. So whatever I get from this, from the royalty-free individual sales, I just, in my head, I add $300, and I know that's almost all the time what I'm getting to get. Data sets. The reason that my 2024 sales were higher were simply because of these two things right here. The data set was calculated and added to my income in September 2024 was $920, and then the very next month $777. And if you take those out, I'm on track to do very much the same here. And this is another thing that's new. I just like to go 18 months with everything because I think it gives you a better idea. For my sales, commercial clips comprise 88% of my sales, and editorial is 12%. Now from this, some people look at this and say, I'm not going to do editorial because it's just not worth it to me. I find it is worth it to me. These sales, it's enough of a income booster for me to make it worthwhile. You can decide on your own, and yours might be much higher. This often represents, frankly, what your portfolio is. My guess is, I'm betting my portfolio is about 88%, almost 90% commercial, and 12% editorial. Is probably comprises of this. And you can see every month how much it is. Sometimes it's higher or lower. So all you do is have to hold your mouse over it, and it can show you what your sales were, what percentage of your sales were each month. It's very, very nice. Now down here, and again, let's go for 18 months. This is interesting. This is overall Blackbox sales trends, meaning this is percentages from thousands of contributors, thousands of Blackbox Guild members, and millions of clips in the last 8. There are millions of clips that are they're going through Blackbox. And remember when we were back and we showed, let's just do it real quick. Back here when I was in my Blackbox, and we showed these categories that you put down here. Categories. And when you do a clip, you put in location, medical, nature, whatever it is you put, that's what's showing up in these historical analytics down here. For Blackbox. So location, I told you that my biggest sales come from establishing shots, and it looks like that is often the case for a lot of people. Nature is very high. Travel, animals, and people. And again, I'm guessing that this often is what people are submitting. This probably represents pretty much the general portfolio of Blackbox. And over here, the shooting location, because you put that in, you can see that 48% was shot in the United States. Then you have India next, United Kingdom, Australia, and Spain. If I go down to my sales trends, you can see that it's quite different. I do, the most of mine are transportation, which surprised me. And probably I'm calling a lot of these establishing shots or locations, but in the metadata, I've labeled them as transportation because I do trains, planes, cars, highways, bridges, that type of thing. I will do a lot of those kind of clips, and that sells. The next thing I'm doing location and building. So if you add these together, you can see that's a lot of what I'm doing. People, I do a lot of model shoots using myself and family members. Objects and equipment and travel. So this is not the same as you saw with the overall black box. You can see that it's there's they don't even have transportation up here. It's quite different. And the other thing that is different over here is the last 18 months I've lived in United Arab Emirates, and so you can see that United Arab Emirates is the vast majority of what I'm selling. Israel, I go to a lot. I work for an NGO that does humanitarian projects in Palestine, Gaza, and Israel, and also in Iraq. And so you can see that those two places show up a lot. Oh, excuse me. United States is next. That's where I go home. That's where my permanent residence is. We go home a couple times a year on vacation. Iraq is next, and I think Oman is on here just because I went to Oman for a vacation in the winter and did a lot of hiking and astrophotography and stuff there. So you could here's maybe something you can learn from here. If the black box sales trends show these countries, United States, India, United Kingdom, Australia, and Spain, as the shooting locations, that means that the countries not listed, these countries, they're Africa, in Asia, South America, Central America. If you're not living in one of these countries, I think you have an advantage, and I think that's why, like I say, my sales trends are completely different. And the more I'm able to break into some of these traditional customs and lifestyle shoots, then the more I'll be able to capitalize on a unique niche or unique content that is not available, that is underrepresented. So the only thing when I look at this, and I have sent this in as a suggestion that was met with some, I wouldn't say for sure they're going to do it, but it was met with some enthusiasm, is I'd like to see here one more thing when it's we're at total earnings, is not only these categories, but add collaboration. I'd like to know how much of the money that I'm making is from collaboration. Maybe I should go back to doing curation more, or maybe if you happen to be going through a health crisis where you can't get out as much or you're not as active, but you could do collaboration, or your work schedule changes. I would just like to know what percentage of my income comes from collaboration. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any other suggestions, I encourage you to send them in to Blackbox. But to me, this has been a very good update, one of the most meaningful updates we've had in years. The last update that I really enjoyed was this ability to hit upload clips here and then just drag and drop. I used to FTP them. In some ways, FTPing the clips is faster, but this is just so convenient. And now we have this earnings tab. Anything else that you think of, write down below, and maybe we can help make this dashboard, this portal, even more meaningful for the people that are using Blackbox. Have a great day.